Hello, beautiful people. So let's talk about the full moon in the sign of Libra that's happening for majority of people on the 6th of April. So, well, depending where you are in the world, but majority of people will experience this on the 6th of April. So on the day of this full moon in Libra, Sun, which is in opposition with Moon, naturally, this is what creates full moon, Sun is in conjunction with Chiron, and this adds an important theme to this full moon, which I'll get to shortly. But actually on the same day we'll have Mercury conjunct in North Node. Just the day before, Mercury sextile Saturn, which is a positive aspect, and the day after, Mercury will sextile Mars, which again is a positive aspect. Actually, when it comes to Mercury and its sextiles, I want to make a correction in regards to my video that I just posted about Mercury moving into the sign of Taurus, because I mentioned there that Mercury will make sextile to Mars 3 times, but this will actually happen only twice. But what I didn't mention is that Mercury will make a sextile to Saturn 3 times. So this sextile between Mercury and Mars that's happening day after the full moon, and sextile to Saturn, which happened just before the full moon, it's happening multiple times, and that also is an important layer to put onto the definition of what this full moon is about. And as mentioned, on the day of this full moon, Mercury will be in conjunction, so it will meet with North Node, which is our collective destiny, and also Chiron will conjunct Sun, as I just mentioned. At the same time, Mercury just had a square to Pluto a few days before, on the 3rd. And actually, Pluto, as we might be aware, is squaring the nodes the entire year, this year. And another thing that is interesting, the ruler of this full moon is Venus, because it's happening in a sign of Libra, ruled by Venus. And Venus is actually still in the sign of Taurus, where she's powerful. She's in a rulership there. She's actually the ruler of Mercury for the 2 months transit of Mercury in the sign of Taurus. But at the same time, Venus is actually making a sextile to Neptune just before she will be moving into the sign of Gemini. So all this put together, astrology jargon aside, what is actually this full moon in Libra telling us? So full moon is always about integration, so something that started during the new moon that is now being illuminated. So during the new moon, there is very little light. Moon doesn't have any light, so we don't have the information. So it's kind of just very intuitive. We put in the seeding out there, we put in our intentions out there, but we don't see yet what's going to come out of it because there is no light. So during the full moon, the moon is illuminated by the sun, so it is in opposition, and we have plenty of light, so we could see what we didn't see before. And with all these aspects that are happening, actually most of them positive, there are a lot of supporting aspects during this full moon. Actually, at the same time, we have in Saturn in a trine with Mars, which is a very positive aspect. So what Saturn is working on in the sign of Pisces, which is also something I already made a video about, Saturn is dissolving what no longer has a meaning for us and helping us to manifest what does have a meaning for us. And Mars is finding its new identity, or identifying what is our identity, who we are really. So at the time of this full moon, all these aspects are in action. And what is this actually trying to tell us? Is that the person that we were before is not the person we are today, because we are constantly changing and evolving, and this is being reflected in our relationship to ourselves, like individually, but also in our relationship to the people we are in relationship with. This could be romantic relationship, but also relationship with anyone else you have a one-on-one relationship with. And because Chiron is actually conjuncting Sun during the time of this full moon, so it's in opposition with the moon itself, moon in Libra, that is telling us that there is a wound in our collective in regards to our identic self, our who we really are or who we want to be, and how is this reflected in our relationships. So this is what I meant when I said that we keep changing, and therefore our relationship to ourselves and our relationship to others changes also. But that's not always so easy, because if we are in a relationship and we change, then that could mean at the end of relationship. So actually this full moon is telling us that, well, not all relationships are to stay with us forever. So it is an integration, it is a point of illumination. So we might have an understanding of what is actually important to us in regards to relationships. So Mercury going through the sign of Taurus is working on us identifying our values and essential needs and our relationship to ourselves, and whether we are able to have our needs met, whether we are able to talk about it. And actually, with all these positive aspects, it being supported by both Mars and Saturn, normally thought about as the malefics, but it's actually supporting to this Mercury and its process of internal dialogue. And at the same time, we have a Chiron conjuncting Sun. So Sun is illuminating Chiron, telling us that there is a wound. There is a wound where we feel maybe that we don't deserve, because Sun is in the sign of Aries. It's want to have this new direction. It wants to. So sun in the sign of Aries, it wants to go and discover the world. It wants to go and follow its purpose. It wants to be who it wants to be, but that doesn't always vibe well with the people we are surrounded with, because they see us a certain way. They created a certain label for us, certain identity, and in order for us to change, everything around us will have to change. Or in order for us to create the life that we want, we'll have to make adjustments, and this very often includes our relationship with other people, our relationship to ourselves first and foremost, but then relationship to other people that we are surrounded with. And I feel that this is what this Chiron in the sign of Aries represents, that there is still this wound collectively where we feel that perhaps following our dreams and our pursuit of happiness and our purpose, it's selfish. That it's something that is not good because we're not taking other people into consideration, which of course it's incorrect. But this is something that, again, Mercury is working on identifying that what it is actually for us individually, that is important to us, that are our needs and values, and how are we getting these met in relationship to other people. So the square that happened between Mercury and Saturn, Mercury and Pluto, when Mercury entered the sign of Taurus, is also talking about this, because Pluto in the sign of Aquarius, it wants to liberate itself. It wants us to help to face everything that is like keeping us in a state of disempowerment, which of course is not easy to face our shadow and our fears. But this square is also telling us that, there is a conflict. There is a conflict in regards of what we want and what perhaps we feel that we can or cannot have because of other people. Because also, as I mentioned, Pluto is creating a square, continuous square to the nodes, which are the collective destiny, our past and our future. And again, that is something that requires adjustment. So Pluto in Aquarius is acceleration. So it's creating this tension, telling us that in order to move into the future, we have to correct the past. There is something that we need to not fix necessarily, but it needs adjustment, it needs correction, and it's pointing to the south node. So it's telling us that there is something that is still keeping us feeling disempowered, and this full moon in Libra is actually illuminating what that is in regards to our relationships. So what in our relationship is still perhaps keeping us in a state where we cannot have our needs met, or where we cannot be truly ourselves, our authentic selves, and follow our path and a destiny, because maybe we are not able to communicate what it is, or maybe we don't know what it is. We are not able to identify it, or if we know what it is, we still feel wounded in regards to going after it. We feel that it's selfish, or it's not right, or it's careless, because Aries is also the energy of our instinctual desire. So it doesn't have it all figured out, step-by-step process. It's an energy that just wants to go for it without having a plan or plan B or something. And this Chiron in Aries is also talking about that. It's talking about like, okay, well, we know that there is this need to pursue our destiny, but what do we need to do? What do we need to correct in order to go there, to get there? Or, just to acknowledge that, just to be true to yourself and actually stand up for yourself and say, this is important to me. And again, this is what Mercury transiting through the sign of Taurus is learning about itself. It's having all these inner dialogues where it's trying to identify exactly this, and then after it moves into the sign of Gemini, it will be able to talk about it. But currently it's being supported. It's being supported by Mars, it's being supported by Saturn, and actually it's conjuncting our North Node. So that's again telling us this is important. This is something that needs to be added into the process in order to meet our collective destiny. This is something that needs to be corrected in regards to how we relate to ourselves, how are we meeting our needs, in order for this square of tension between Pluto and Mercury that happened on the 3rd of April to be resolved. And it will be, because Mercury and Pluto will make a trine, because just before Mercury will move into the sign of Gemini. So all in all, I also feel that this is also telling us about identifying how we want relationships to be going forward. And actually, I just watched a very interesting video which very deeply spoke to me about this, what the theme of this full moon in Libra is about. I will put the link below. It was an interview between Elena and Alejandro from Holistic with Sheila and her husband Marcus Gillette, and they talking about the conscious relationships, the future of relationships, what actually relationships are going to be about. And it's about taking responsibility for our needs. So it's not just creating relationships because we need something from someone else, that we want this other person to fulfill our needs, and sometimes we don't even share what these needs are. We don't identify it, and then we're trying to get them met by manipulation or projection or some subconscious behavior, being triggered and all that. But actually the future relationships, the relationships that we are bringing into the age of Aquarius during the Pluto in Aquarius transitionary period of 20 years, are the conscious relationships where we actually are aware what are our needs. We communicate these openly and freely, because we need to heal this wound in regards to just being who we are, and not being ashamed of being who we are and needing what we need, and being able to just go for it, pursue our destiny. But in order to do that, we need to identify this and be able to talk about it, to actually be in a relationship with people who are aware of this and who have the same path, who actually can meet our needs, because that's something that it's part of their path too. So it's not in this manipulative way where this is not being put out in the open, but it's actually with our collaborations or our co-creations, we are having our needs met together, because we working towards the same goal. But first and foremost, it's our own, every person's individual responsibility to understand what these needs are and how are we going to get them met. So it's obviously we cannot meet all our needs ourselves, like we need food and we need these other things, external things, which not many people can create for themselves. But just to have the understanding that I have these needs, and I cannot meet it myself because there is just so much I can do. I can go and get resources in order to pay for my food, but it's just to grow all my food and create all my food by myself. It's kind of tricky, isn't it? But this is what it is, this conscious relationship. That's what they said. The future of relationship is not to be entering into relationship because I need something from you, but because I know what I need and I know how to meet this need myself. but I want to be with you because I want to be with you, because we are on the same frequency, because we are this, like following the same goal. We want to create the same thing in this life, something that will support humanity and stuff like that. So anyway, this is a very, very interesting interview. I'm going to post the link below in case people want to check it out. It's about an hour long, and it's very, very interesting because this is actually something that I've already been tapping into myself, and I came across previously about this future of what relationships will be like. And majority of people might be aware that in the past, relationship connections between two people were actually based on the lower chakras. So it was our base chakra, our sacral chakra. Sometimes it would get as far as the heart chakra, not always. Sometimes it would just end at the solar plexus. So what this means, majority of people would get together because of security, safety and security, having resources, being able to provide for each other, like these kind of things. That's the base chakra, survival. Then because of sexual attraction, because majority of people, it's not even love, it's just chemistry, it's just sex. And that's sacral chakra. It's our intimate desires. And then the solar plexus is about our ego. It's about, also our confidence and our ambition. So some people maybe get together because, okay, we can help each other with business or something, or I don't know, or like somebody needs a trophy wife or something. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that for majority of people, in the past, the relationships were built on these three chakras. And there is nothing wrong with that, but we're moving forward from there. Of course, then the next chakra is the heart chakra. So it's actually the connection through the heart. And the only way we can actually create this connection with another is to have this connection with oneself. So it's about self-love and self-compassion, self-forgiveness. This is also something that's discussed in this interview. To have a compassion for ourselves, that everything that we went through in our life and all the mistakes, all the learning curves that we have gone through happened for us. It happened to make us a better person, to grow, and it's just, to have a compassion for ourselves, to have a forgiveness that we had to have this experience. And it helped us to become the person we are today, and that's taking us into the future, into becoming the person we want to become. It's all building blocks. So in order for people to really be in a relationship with someone else consciously, is to actually have a healthy relationship with themselves, with oneself. And then, of course, as the time is going on, people are creating connection based on the upper chakras, where they actually are connected on a spiritual level. And this is also the future of relationship. Just be together with someone because of safety, security, looks, and sex is just not gonna be enough. It's just not gonna be enough, because people will be looking for more. It's this sextile between Venus and Neptune. It's this, we are looking for more. We're looking for deeper meaning, even in relationships, in life in general, but in relationships as well. As we are evolving as human species, and this Pluto going through the sign of Aquarius for the next 20 years is going to accelerate this process of evolution for us, for every single one of us. All these transits that are happening at the moment, all these new moons and full moons, they are all layering up onto the same theme. They creating this, they evolve in the same theme. They continue in the same story that is happening for all of us. It's helping us to really reconnect with oneself individually, so we can reconnect with each other on a more conscious level, on a cleaner level, which is more authentic and transparent and in its integrity. And also to heal this wound that most of people carry from the previous generation, this guilt and shame and undeserving and all this. And this is what the Chiron and Aries is telling us about. Just to have the forgiveness and to be able to start this new cycle for each of us, to not have to carry this burden of our ancestors, of this suffering and lack, but to actually embrace that there is a new path available for us, new path opening up, and we can all we can all enter it, we can all follow it and follow this life of happiness and joy, and being fully connected with ourselves, with our needs and values, find people who are on the same fractal, who resonate with who we are and what we want and what we need, and be in relationships that are like that too, and give us then deeper sense of meaning, and to be seen, really to be seen, because Sun also, it's Leo, so it's like I see you. I validate myself, and I'm being validated by others because I exist. And that's also what Libra is doing, is the mirror. It shows us back to us what's inside of us. So all these people that are in our lives, they help to hold this mirror to us, to help us to heal these things, these aspects to ourselves. So all in all, I really feel that this is the main theme of the full moon in Libra, despite of all the aspects that are going on, majority of which, as I mentioned, are actually positive aspects. But the main theme really is to have this understanding that we are moving into a brand new era where actually the relationships of the past are not necessarily going to be following us into the future. So how we define relationships and how we create relationships and the reasons why we are in relationships, they will completely change. But in order to do that, we have to have this understanding where we are at the moment and heal what still needs healing, discover what still needs discovering, accept where we are at, give ourselves this love, this TLC, this tender loving care during this transit of Mercury through Taurus, to actually identify what it is that we need, and then be able to bring it out to the open and speak about it, share it with others. And yeah, as I mentioned before, this triple sextile between Saturn and Mercury is going to help us, because all this information Mercury will find, it will pass on to Saturn, and Saturn will help to dissolve that which no longer holds a meaning, and help to manifest that which does, which will have a meaning. And also this double sextile to Mars, where Mars is having an identity crisis because he's trying to identify who I was, but maybe I am not anymore, and who I want to be, who I want to become. So yeah, so this full moon in Libra, for me, this is the theme. This is what it's talking about, is this integration process where we'll have a deeper understanding what relationship means to us, to each and every single one of us individually and collectively, of course. But Libra is one-on-one relationship. So the relationships you currently have in your life, how do they reflect what is inside of you, what you actually need, and the life you want to live, and the destiny what you want to follow? And does it have a meaning? Do they carry a sense of meaning or not? And what do we need to do to move forward from here on, because of this Venus sextile in Neptune? So Venus wants to have the life of meaning, to be happy, to be able to satisfy this inner child that lives within us, to be able to give to ourselves this self-love, and then we can give to others. And as I said, then we can have a cleaner relationships without manipulation, projection, and all sorts of things that going on, and to create connections based on a higher chakras and heart connection, rather than necessity and need, and this need for security and safety, and these old paradigms which are not really serving us anymore. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna leave it at that. I might have got a little bit lost in all of these transits. I hope that I didn't lose you. But the core message to me is quite simple. It's about redefining relationships, what they mean to you, and what kind of relationships you want to bring into the future with you going forward from here on. So much love to everyone. I hope that this helped someone. If you like my video, please like, subscribe, and comment if you feel that there is something you would like to share with me and others. And if you would like to have a reading with me, please do contact me. I put all the details in the description, so don't hesitate to do so. And I'll speak to you again soon. Much love. Bye.